Hello, this is Angie Watkins coming to you live for the 5. Today is Tuesday, May 29th, and I want to finish up the part 2 of how you are amazing and to help you prepare for your review. So one of the things I want to recap briefly. Last week we talked about 3 of the 5 points I want to make, and that is to make sure you know that no one can do what you do like you do. Also, that you can actually make sure you don't use I'm only and I'm just in anytime you're talking about yourself. And the third is to consider what would happen if you weren't there to do it. So the 2 topics I want to talk about today, or the finish it and round out the 5 points, is talking about your alibi and a little bit of a deep dive and put some forensics of your resume or your write-up. So just speaking plainly, feel free if you're here live to ask questions. If you're catching a replay, feel free to type your questions in. I will look at them later and respond. Excuse the voice, still getting over a cold. So one of the things I want to talk about point blank and bluntly, your resume or your write-up, when you're preparing for your review, some things are going to be similar when you get ready for it, because the whole point is when you're doing your review, you should be acting like you're talking to someone who knows you, because usually it's your immediate supervisor or someone, whether it's your annual, your quarterly, your bi-monthly, biannual, whatever it is you're preparing for. You're usually thinking about you're talking to somebody who knows you, who can actually find out if you're blowing smoke or not. So you want to make sure when you think about your write-up, again, whether it's your resume or your review, because some of the things I'm going to talk about are the same, you want to make sure it's not looking like an alibi. You want to actually make sure you have evidence to basically corroborate what you're saying. An alibi is when you're telling my, hey, I wasn't there, dude, I was with dude, or I was with my friend here, and they can corroborate that I wasn't there. So if your resume is full of stuff that actually acts as an alibi, I'm like, looking at this, nope, that doesn't talk about you. That doesn't talk about you. That doesn't talk about you specifically enough. Like, no, that's not you. You're not there. You're not corroborating. You're not giving me evidence of what you can do. Your resume should never be an alibi for your accomplishments. It should actually corroborate and provide evidence of what you do. It should actually say, you know what? That is her. She did this. I have the numbers. I have someone else who can corroborate this information. And what I want to make sure you understand is the way you do that is that you provide facts. There is no time for your review or even your resume. So again, your review, you're talking to somebody who's supposed to already know some of what you do. And some stuff they're not going to know what you do, because there's probably things you do that no one knows, but you should, definitely tout, like teamwork activities and things like that. And you can actually give the numbers and information. How many are you doing? How much did it change? Who are you doing it for? So this goes back to some of the same things I'm talking about, your accomplishments, the benefit. Who's benefiting by what you do? You got your teammates, you got your upline, you got your downline, you got your external people. All that should be evident in your review. So in any type of review, you normally have specific measures that you're targeting to meet in the first place, that you need to meet this type of quota. You need to get to these many people by this time frame and have this kind of a score or feedback when they actually do reviews or and analyze what you're doing. You have certain marks that you're trying to hit. So when you're doing your review or writing your review or even speaking about your review, hey, Zdoni, you want to make sure you are actually marking and providing evidence that you met it, that they can go to somebody and corroborate it. So if you work with, Tammy Sue Baker or whatever to get this objective done, and she worked as your team member or you worked as a lead, say so. You don't put in there assisted. Not when you led. You don't put in there helped out. Not when you led, not when you directed, not when you instigated, not when you implemented. You're not a supporting cast member in your own review. You are the leading role person. So you want to make sure if somebody puts you on if somebody actually had witnesses that go on a stand to say, Were you in fact there to do this? Were you in fact there to make this success goal? Were you in fact, I'm like, yep, she was there. You have witnesses, you have people who can corroborate what you did. And that's what you want for your review. Facts. And again, you've seen enough lawyer stories, answer what's asked. And that's what you want to make sure you tell people. You give them the proof of what you've done. So I will say all the time, how many, how much, so what? So if you have a performance measure that you're going to, and you say, well, we wanted you to talk to at least 50 people. Well, you talk to 75. You've increased your performance measure by at least a quarter, by 25%. You exceeded that. And that's fact, not boasting, not trying to showcase or showboat. You're giving facts about what you're doing. When you're doing your review, again, you're targeting someone who knows you, who may actually, or someone who may only have a glimpse of what you do, and this is your actual opportunity to tell them, here's how I went beyond what I did. Here's what I've done beyond what you even know and what you see on a regular basis. And you document that. You want to get your performance award and or make sure they give a bonus. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know you did that. And or you show them how you understand the entire framework in which you work in. So you may have done a report for them, but your report goes to a supervisor who goes to someone else who's making decisions about, staffing, who's making decisions about budgeting, about any number of things, about product choices, whatever it is. You need to document that you understand. Because I met this goal of 25% more than, we actually managed to save 15% of our bottom line and actually repurpose that money for something else. You tell the whole picture. This is not time for you to clam up. Like, yes, nope, I think so. No, this is the time for you to shine. And again, unlike a resume where you're trying to, you don't know exactly who you're trying to impress, but you want to impress them. You are talking to someone who actually has a stake in what you're going to be doing going forward. If you want an opportunity to expand, you talk about what you've already taken your initiative on, and you say that. You want whatever you write about yourself to be evidence. You want it to corroborate what it is that you would say on a witness stand about what you do. You do not ever want anything that you write about yourself to be an alibi to excuse you or give you permission to say, nope, I wasn't there. And if that's what you have, fluff, I'm strategic in doing blah, blah, da, 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 and implemented so many power sources of doing. So what? What does it do? How did you do it? Who did you work with? Did you have to persuade somebody? You have complex people. You have a culture of people who are very difficult to work with. Put all of that information in context so you can showcase what you're doing in your review. If you had a 6-month project, this is maybe your biannual, and you're actually ahead of schedule, say so. This is your time to let them know, outside of whatever other processes and progress reporting communications you have, to tell them, I am doing this. I am ahead of schedule. I have managed to convert this person, persuade this person. I got backing from such and such who said they weren't even going to be involved. All of these things are important for you to showcase when you're talking about that. And so when I talk about forensics of it, so when I talk about, again, you want to make sure your documentation serves as a corroboration, as evidence of what you do. It should not be an alibi to say, oh, these are nice words, but that has nothing to do with you and you weren't even there to actually get this done. So when I talk about forensics, it's about the how many, how much, the so what, the details. When they pick apart everything that you do, and some people will, or you may want to do the same thing for whatever you're doing for your review to substantiate an award, whether it be financial or certificate or something else. You want to make sure that they have all the data that they need. How long did it take you? How many people specifically? And here's a couple of pet peeves. Having your division mentioned is generic. Having your department mentioned is generic. Having a statement such as, I made sure my entire department completed their objectives. Your department can be consisting of 5 or 50 people. So unless you're specific, that gives no one any type of context of the mass and the volume that you're used to managing. If you say something like, I manage the entire budget. So what? How much is the budget? Be specific. I managed to make sure we spent all our allotted, funding that we were given according to the guidelines and processes and procedures. Yeah. All well and good. How much was it? If you got a budget of $2,000 versus 2 million, how is anyone going to know unless you tell them? Unless you actually get specific, the forensics of it. Date and time of, you've seen the shows, date and time, this happened, what time did this occur, who was there, how many people saw, who can corroborate what you were doing. That is all the information that's necessary when you prepare for your review. Excuse me. You want to be specific. You want to provide facts. You want to shine and showcase what you're doing. You don't want a whole lot of fluff and air in writing about what you do. So if you go and say, well, I did this and I did that and blah, 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 and the write-ups you have don't match, don't even come close, you're like, might as well just have a seat somewhere else, because you don't need to be sitting at the table discussing anything because you said nothing. You want to make sure, as if you were in a court somewhere, that whatever you write about yourself can serve as corroboration, evidence of what you do. Not so that it gives you an alibi so that you can skate out and roll out and like, you ain't do nothing, thanks for coming up, thanks for showing up, and have a good day. So I want to help make sure, this is part 2 of 2, that one of the main things was to get out some of the baggage out your head so you can concentrate on really getting to some specifics. So if you have any questions later, if you're watching the replay, feel free to email me. I'll put my email in the comments after it's posted. So when you're preparing for your review, make sure what you write, thank you, what you write gives credence to what you do, not an alibi to let you skate free unless someone else gets your kudos or your compliments for what you're doing. Facts, not fiction, not fibbing, not boasting. Details that can be corroborated, witnessed, and that is what you want to make sure your review goes through. And you want to be able to say whatever it is that you wrote down with confidence. So if you do need help or you want to bounce some ideas, feel free to email me, arwatkins@rashamatrix.com, because one of the things I want to make sure always, you need to always recognize your accomplishments, reshape your attitude, and realize you're amazing. So until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.